Have you ever really thought about this? How do you measure something like a smile or a frown? It sounds kind of poetic, but for doctors who treat facial nerve damage, it's a super critical and really complex problem. I mean, how can you tell objectively if a treatment is actually working? How do you track a patient's recovery?
This right here was the huge question that stumped medicine for decades. Just imagine, you're a surgeon in Los Angeles, and another one's in Tokyo. If you're not even speaking the same language when you describe facial paralysis, how could you possibly compare your results? How does science get anywhere?
So let's jump in a time machine, back to the early 1980s. When it came to grading facial paralysis, it was chaos. There was no single standard that everyone agreed on. It was basically the Wild West.
And that's coming straight from the source, Dr. John W. House. Get this, 9 different systems. 9! Some were really simple, others were just incredibly complicated, asking doctors to get out rulers and measure movements in millimeters. As you can imagine, this made comparing results from different studies totally impossible. It was a mess.
So into all this confusion stepped 2 innovators who basically decided, okay, enough is enough. We've got to fix this.
Working out of the famous House Ear Clinic in LA, Dr. House and his colleague, Dr. Brackmann, took on a pretty ambitious goal. They were going to look at all those existing systems and create one single system that everyone could and would actually use.
Their whole philosophy was pretty simple. A new system couldn't just be accurate on paper, it had to be practical in a busy clinic. Doctors needed something that was fast, easy to learn, and, this is the big one, consistent. 2 different doctors looking at the same exact patient had to come to the same conclusion.
Okay, so what did they actually come up with? How did their big solution work? Let's break down the scale itself. And here it is, the House-Brackmann Scale. You can see right away how simple and elegant it is. It's just a 6-point scale. Grade I is totally normal, and grade V is total paralysis. It looks at the face when it's still and when it's moving, focusing on really key things like, can you move your forehead? Can you close your eye?
The logic is just crystal clear, right? Grade I means your facial function is normal. As you go up the scale, the problem gets worse and worse, all the way to grade 6, which means no movement at all.
Now here's where they got really clever. A huge point of confusion with the old systems was telling the difference between moderate and moderately severe paralysis. Their solution? It all came down to the forehead. If a patient can move their forehead even a little bit, they're a grade 3. If they can't move it at all, boom, they jump to grade 4. It's a simple, clear thing to look for that just cut through all the confusion.
And the scale does a beautiful job of capturing the whole spectrum of this condition. At a grade 2, the weakness is so minor you'd probably have to look really close to even notice it. But by the time you get to grade 5, the asymmetry is obvious even when the face is resting, and there's maybe only the faintest little flicker of movement possible.
The impact of having this simple, practical, and reliable scale was, well, it was nothing short of a revolution for medicine.
And it all came to a head in 1985. Dr. House presented all his research comparing the different systems, and the Facial Nerve Disorders Committee officially adopted the House-Brackmann Scale as the new global standard.
So why does this matter so much? Because standardization changed everything. For the very first time, doctors all over the world had a common language. They could finally compare surgical techniques, track how patients recovered from things like Bell's palsy, and share data. And that led directly to better treatments and much better outcomes for patients everywhere. But you know how science is. The story never really ends there. A good solution often just shows you what the next set of questions is going to be. And yeah, after it was used for decades, doctors and researchers started to see some of its limits. It was groundbreaking, but it wasn't perfect. So for all its strengths, there was still a little bit of subjectivity, and it had a hard time accounting for these tricky secondary problems like synkinesis. That's a weird thing where, say, you try to smile and your eye twitches involuntarily. It also wasn't always sensitive enough to pick up on really small, subtle improvements during recovery. And honestly, this is the beauty of how science works. The House-Brackmann scale wasn't the final chapter. It was a foundational stepping stone. Its limitations are what directly inspired the next generation of even more detailed systems, like the FNGS 2.0 and the Sunnybrook scale, which try to capture even more nuance.
When you look at the whole story, going from 9 confusing systems to one global standard, and then using that to build even better tools, it's a pretty powerful journey. It really speaks to our drive to not just look at the world, but to measure it and understand it with more and more precision. It kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it?
What's the next complex part of the human body we're going to learn how to measure?